when I'm not in a good place, I always go, damn you, brain. Like, I hate you. Why are you being like this?
I hate you.
You know?
You're so dramatic.
Yeah, I'm very dramatic. We know this.
I
But,
hate
you know,
you,
now
brain.
I'm like, I'm not going to have a hate fest on my brain because my brain, it's doing what it's doing what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
This is what I thought.
The last question of the day. How can practicing mindfulness help us be more compassionate? So this one, I'm really curious to see what you're going to say on this one.
Yeah. So obviously we've just talked about, you know, mindfulness creates more folds in the brain, gyrification, and it gives us more time to pause. And it gives us more meta awareness, which is just a fancy way of saying, you know, the ability to think about thinking, think about or really experience and be mindful of your bodily sensations, your emotions, all those things.
Yeah.
And so straight away, I think about, you know, if you can do those things, you're going to have more compassion for yourself and more compassion for others. Now, one thing I want to talk about, which I started listening to this wonderful book this week called Into the Magic Shop by a guy called Dr. James Doty. Now, it was like a New York Times bestseller, translated into like 35 different languages.
Oh, wow.
So like people like it, and it's a great book. And the introduction to the book is he talks about like he's not a neuroscientist, a neurosurgeon.
Oh,
and he's
wow.
performing surgery, brain surgery on this little boy who has a tumor in his head.
Yeah.
And something goes wrong during the surgery. And he is able to draw on his ability to be mindful and take pause to actually kind of get himself out of this really bad situation, right? Because I can't imagine anything more stressful than doing neurosurgery on like a little kid. Like, oh. So, yeah, and it's beautiful because he goes back to the story of how he uses this practice of mindfulness to really understand his feelings and his thoughts, because he came from a really bad background where his father was an alcoholic, his mother had had a stroke and like had serious depression, and so he was in a horrible circumstance where he would get very angry all the time, and it would like really seize up in his body and his thoughts, and it kind of permeated his world.
Sure.
And that's the thing, right, is he learns the art of compassion and understanding of these people, you know, throughout all walks of his life, because he has that time to pause. So that was something I was interested in, because I do think, you know, compassion is hard sometimes, especially, say, for people that are really difficult, you know. So if you've got someone in your face in a work capacity giving you a hard time, or maybe it's, you know, somebody in your past that's really frustrated you and you can't quite get over it. Compassion's very hard in that instance. Right. But I think having the pause allows you to observe, say, like your initial reaction, your body going, I'm angry, I'm now going to fight you, or whatever it is. You can kind of take that pause and go, yes, I can take that as an opportunity, but I choose maybe to consider that you're not in a good place yourself. And I need to have some love and compassion for you, you know? And I think that's a lot harder if you don't have that pause. So that was my thought, because I think the times when I've responded and got very frustrated about something is there's no pause. It's like my brain's just gone to its normal, natural reaction of, you know, fight mode, I guess, which is like, right, I'm going to label you as like the enemy here and get really mad at you because it keeps, because that's what I think needs to be done. So it's a lot harder for me, I think, to take the other road, which, you know, the compassion road, but mindfulness is helping me get there.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to get your thoughts on
you,
that.
For sure. Yeah, I've noticed that in you.
So yeah, you've seen the journey.
Yes, I have. But no, one thing you said really struck me, because I had not connected the dots between this and mindfulness, like compassion and mindfulness. But I think through the mindfulness, you're feeling your feelings. You're not trying to judge your feelings or repress your feelings or whatever. And you're trying to maybe thinking about what's causing those feelings as you pause. all of a sudden you start figuring out all the crap that's gone on in your life that's made you have these feelings. And once you start realizing how imperfect you are and how much stuff you've been through, that's what's going to make you more compassionate toward other people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that, but I hadn't really, I knew those experiences were what made you more compassionate toward other people. But I'd never thought of it as linked to mindfulness, because it's a way of drawing on those experiences in the moment. Really.
Yeah. Like,
so that you can be more compassionate. You're being more compassionate to yourself.
Yes.
And in turn, you can be more compassionate to other people.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too. It's not only, compassion for others, but compassion for yourself. What's that? I think, there was some kind of teaching that said something like, compassion is not true compassion if it doesn't include yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, like, for a fact, right? So if I spat in your face, the instant reaction you would have would be anger, I'm sure. Unless, like, you're super... super, like a superhero doesn't get impacted by that. But the normal reaction would be to get angry. Right? And then I think it's what comes next after that. So, like, anger sucks, right? Because you'll feel it in your body. It's going to make you... It's going to limit your ability to think and navigate in that instance. And you're probably going to make some bad decisions, because I'm sure, I don't know, somebody would react by maybe punching the other person in the face or something, which causes like a whole, a whole grouping of issues.
Yeah.
So it's having the compassion to go, right, I know that's going to happen. So it's, and I know as soon as that feeling happens, I could get carried away by it really quickly. So I need like almost like a safety net to help me at least have the choice. Because you could still choose to go, all right, I think this situation, I don't know, if the person, say, spits in your face every day and you've told them not to, maybe punching them in the face is the right thing to do. Okay?
It might be time.
It might be time. But give yourself the option to say, all right, maybe there's a reason behind this. Maybe somebody's had a bad day. Maybe they just need somebody to listen to them. It's not going to be easy in that instance, but it's giving yourself the option, which is compassion for yourself, because anger is not good. And it's compassion for the other person, because most people would respond with, violence in that instance, as opposed to maybe going, why did you spit in my face? Like, can we, what's going on to make you do that? Whatever it may look like. So, it's full compassion.
Yes, and not that you would have to ask the other person, but even
I was just thinking about it. Why did you spit in my face?
No, I can see you doing that, actually.
I probably would say that, to be honest.
And hey, by the way, what's the purpose of life? While we're
I've only asked like all of our guests that question. Okay?
But even just staying curious in your head of what that is about. And that reminds me, I was listening, and like I say, I can never remember people's names because I just get so caught up in their stories. I just don't even remember their names. But anyways, I was hearing lately he was a Black gentleman. And this was quite a long time ago, because it was still when there was somewhat segregation. So I think it was in the 60s. And he was like a musician, like a blues musician or something. And he ended up meeting these people from the Ku Klux Klan, which I assume you know what that is, even though you're not in the States. Ended up becoming friends with some of them. And he ended up writing a book about the Ku Klux Klan. But the point of it is, the whole way he was able to do that is because he was always very curious about where they were coming from. Well, and some backstory, he had been, his parents were like an ambassador for the United States or something. So he had traveled all over the world, and he was always with a bunch of different nationalities and stuff. And so he never really even knew what discrimination was as a kid. And so anyways, so that's why he was really actually curious, and he wasn't confrontational with these people. He was just like, really, why are you thinking that way? And that was really inspiring to me. If you could just do that. if you could really just tap into that curiosity and that compassion instead of judging someone right off the bat.
Yeah. That's an extreme situation.
It
Isn't
is,
it?
but
Like,
it's such a great example.
it is. It's beautiful.
And
Like,
it'd be hard for anyone else to do that, I think, because he had pretty unusual upbringing in that he was exposed to so many different people. You know, or where a lot of people, like, I grew up with mostly white people, or maybe black people grew up with mostly black people around them, or whoever, whatever it is. You know, you usually grow up with people, like-minded people around you. So he had kind of an unusual upbringing in that way, but man, I'm like that's something I want to tap into.
yeah.
And that's really a mindfulness exercise, is staying curious.
It is. Well,
instead of jumping to a conclusion.
Yeah. I don't think you can have like proper compassion without mindfulness, because you know you're working against like biology here, and like, you know, there's so many factors that will be out of your control, so you need to kind of wrestle back some of that control, because you know you can go in with the best intentions possible to be like, I'm going to be more compassionate to people. But you do need to take that time to go, all right, well, what are my normal reactions, you know, like, and I'm sure this is what happens with a lot of things, you know, like it would be that example of the Ku Klux Klan. Or it could be, you know, people's political views. Like, I don't know, there's so many examples in the world, right, where people can't talk and communicate properly. And, you know, part of that would come down to they're not mindful. They are caught up. Like, I guess you see these people that are just caught up in their emotions.
Right.
And they're blinded, which is where it ties into the self-compassion thing. Being properly compassionate to yourself is going, well, I'm blinded by, say, my anger. Like, you know, anger makes you stupid. Like it's shown, it actually makes you stupid. So, you know, why would you want to do that to yourself? Wouldn't you want to be as open-minded and aware and to all the possibilities, because that's what's truly going to make you you know, learn about the world, is by being super open. So don't restrict yourself. Understand that there's things that are in play in you that you can't control without having mindfulness, I guess.
Well, right, for sure.
Yeah,
and that's, now I'm really liking that, because I never thought of that until I just said it, about the curiosity is being mindful.
Yes.
Because we really, I mean, even though we're more connected than we've ever been, blah blah blah, or there's more information available to us than there's ever been, we still all kind of grow up in this little bubble where we think that the way our life is how everybody else's life is. I mean, you can't help but kind of think that. And I think that causes a lot of problems. But if you can bring that curiosity into it, I think that would help you get past that a little bit. And remember that, the world that you're living in is just a little speck of what is on this entire planet.
Actually, I just thought, because that's a really good point, I just thought of an example that's like very relevant, I think, to the world right now, and something that I talk to my friends about a lot. So I think it's definitely a global thing at the moment, but we're noticing it in the political arena in Australia a lot, is sexual harassment towards women in politics. And it's created very much a heightened climate where a lot of men, including some of my really close friends, and I had this initial reaction too, would hear these stories, and my instant reaction was, well, not all men do that. I don't do that. Now, the problem with that,
that's a normal reaction.
Because straight away you internalize it and you think about you from your perspective, and the reaction of me hearing of a story of sexual harassment and makes me angry, right? But straight away, for some reason, it's like I feel like it's an attack on me, and I think about me and blah blah blah. I'm sure everyone, as you say, feels that way, but it's when I can take pause to say, by looking at it just through that lens and not having pause to say, yes, I'm angry about that, and yes, I worry about how that may impact me and other, you know, and the
Yeah.
perception of men in general, that's causing issues for me hearing the stories of women who are sexually discriminated or sexually harassed. And the importance of them telling these stories so that we can break this. And if the image of man has to cop, you know, a bit of a hard time for a while for that to kind of move forward productively, it's a pretty small thing. But
Yeah.
you know, like it's true for everything. It's the same, say, with, you know, I hear people talk about Black Lives Matter and the difficulty of this, you know, how scary it is for white people to talk to a black person about that.
Sure.
And probably because there'll be a lot of frustration and anger there,
Yeah.
which will cause you to get frustrated and angry or uncomfortable. But if you have pause,
Right.
you could listen to that person who might be angry, and just learn from that experience, as opposed to getting wrapped up in it and going, I don't like the fact that you're angry at me, and now I'm responding, you know, with more anger. I guess the main point I'm trying to get at is, it's like, if we're going to really work through the big, tough issues of today, we have to be mindful. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it's beneficial to everyone.
Whatever you want to call it, however you want to go about it. Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
exactly.